So you might be looking at it and saying like, hey, look, like 7%, that's not that good. But the reality is on Bitcoin, 7% is very different than on any other asset. Bitcoin, like the yields in DeFi have been under a percent for as long as I can remember, maybe like 30 basis points or 50 basis points. That's kind of like the market rate for Bitcoin yield, which is really, really like honestly sad. And so seeing 7% on there, that's definitely pretty enticing when it comes to Bitcoin. Now, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Wagmi TV. We got a really exciting one today for you guys. Today, we're going to be talking about earning yield on your Bitcoin. So for some context, it has historically been very, very difficult to earn yield on your Bitcoin. The Bitcoin blockchain is really good for a lot of things. It's obviously been extremely successful over the last decade plus. But one thing that it's not really great on is hosting applications and doing DeFi. And that's why Ethereum and all these other blockchains have really taken over kind of the DeFi space. Now, there's been a huge push to make DeFi with Bitcoin possible. And there's a lot of different things that are going on right now, different Bitcoin L2s, all this other stuff going on. But today we want to focus on earning yield with Bitcoin in kind of Ethereum-based DeFi. That's what we're going to focus on today. We got some exciting stuff. Of course, Coinbase just announced that they are releasing cbBTC, which is their kind of like Bitcoin wrapper, if you will, that can then be used in Bitcoin, in DeFi. And so we're going to kind of give you everything you need to know on that and talk about some exciting developments there. So I'm going to pass it off to Ev to go through kind of the yield opportunity that we're seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's pop over to Aerodrome Finance. And what we want to do here is we just want to talk through some of the pools that we're seeing within Aerodrome. So if you were to obviously head over to the liquidity page and head down to the liquidity pools, you're seeing a lot of cbBTC pools within the platform. But, most of them don't have huge TVL. You see Wrapped ETH cbBTC, which has a pretty solid TVL of 38 million, along with some other, lower cap tokens. But what I really wanted to hop into was the stable page, and where you see in the basic stable pool, this TBTC cbBTC pool, where essentially if both of these tokens stay pegged to the Bitcoin price, you're able to earn 7% or above 7% on your Bitcoin, which, is really something that is kind of exciting because of, the wealth in crypto around Bitcoin and how that money can only limitedly be used because of, like, so we said, there's not a lot of yield farming options with Bitcoin. And so, yeah, we wanted to talk about this, and I think I'll pass it over to Zoe to talk a little bit more about cbBTC. So if you guys wanted to enter this pool, you'd learn a little bit more about the tokens that you're giving yourself exposure to.
Totally. And, love the fact that, I mean, we're huge Aerodrome fans on this channel. Love the fact that this opportunity is on Aerodrome. Big shout out to them. So you might be looking at it and saying like, hey, look, like 7%, that's not that good. But the reality is on Bitcoin, 7% is very different than on any other asset. Bitcoin, like the yields in DeFi have been under a percent for as long as I can remember, maybe like 30 basis points or 50 basis points. That's kind of like the market rate for Bitcoin yield, which is really, really like honestly sad. And so seeing 7% on there, that's definitely pretty enticing when it comes to Bitcoin. Now, if you rewind a little bit and like ask yourself, what are these tokens? They're basically wrapped versions of Bitcoin. So you basically deposit your Bitcoin with a given protocol or company, and they mint you some of this Bitcoin wrapper. In Coinbase's case, it's cbBTC. For Threshold, which is TBTC, that's a bridge. And so if you bridge your Bitcoin, that's where you get that receipt token. They're all basically receipt token, wrapper tokens, if you will, that represent one Bitcoin and should be redeemable for one Bitcoin at all times. Now, how do you ensure that your wrapper asset is always pegged one-to-one with Bitcoin? You ensure that by basically letting people know that you can always redeem it for one Bitcoin, right? Similar with USDC or any other stable coin. The proof of reserves is what gives that token any value whatsoever, right? And so over the last few months, obviously Coinbase has announced cbBTC, and like it's been a very exciting development, especially because they own their own blockchain, and so they can really control the yield opportunities and stuff and push those yield opportunities to their customers. But the one thing that they've had a ton of pushback on is the fact that they lack proof of reserves. And so, big news here, actually released today, is that Coinbase is responding to these, the pushback that they've gotten, and they're actually planning to add proof of reserves for cbBTC to their roadmap and provide that for their customers. So that's going to be a huge thing. We always talk about, in crypto, don't trust, verify. And the easiest way to verify is to, be able to go to a contract address and verify it on the blockchain. And so that's what they're planning on doing. Super exciting development. I will stop there, get your guys' opinions, but I would love to show kind of like what an example of these proof of reserves kind of looks like and what Coinbase is going for. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's awesome, right? I think proof of reserves really are a crucial tool for building trust and transparency, not just with Coinbase, but the cryptocurrency market as a whole, which I think they command a fair portion of. So really, I think this is an awesome step. And when I saw this news, I thought it was great because they're essentially demonstrating that they hold sufficient assets to cover user funds, right? The exchanges can really help protect investors, the little guys, and really promote the long-term health of the cryptocurrency industry, really. And so I thought it was really awesome to see this. I think it's been something that has been kind of taking a big foothold in the crypto market, really, since everything turned pretty bearish with all the FTX stuff and all that. So I think it's really cool that they're doing it. Definitely curious to know a little bit more about how they're doing it, because I know there's a lot of challenges and considerations that come along with it. But just them actually putting in the effort to do it, I think, is great, not just for Coinbase, but for really the space as a whole.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I totally agree. You definitely would have loved for it to be launched when the token was launched. I think if anybody knows how important proof of reserves is, it's Coinbase, whose competitor FTX blew up the whole 2022 market. And so, you kind of would love for them to have launched it with that. Obviously, they're righting the wrong here and understanding that this is priority number one for people that want to use cbBTC. So that's always great to see. But yeah, I think in the future, proof of reserve should probably be launched with tokens like this.
100%. Yeah, I couldn't agree. And obviously FTX still has its mark on the industry, and that's what they're really trying to avoid, I think, with this, is being even potentially looped in to something like that. I mean, obviously if FTX would have had proof of reserves, it never would have gotten as big as it did, because they just kind of played the trust me game until it all, collapsed. So let's look at like a couple of the competitors, right? Wrapped Bitcoin and Threshold Bitcoin, tBTC, and see kind of how they're doing it. And that way, when Coinbase actually does put this out, we can kind of compare and see like, how is Coinbase is doing it and how does it compare really? So here's how Wrapped Bitcoin is doing it. So they work with a variety of different custodians, it seems like, which I know Coinbase as well does that. And so we're probably going to be seeing something similar. My hope is that the front end is going to look better than this. Like, this sort of just like list of contract addresses with like, how much their balance is in Bitcoin is like kind of brutal from like a UI UX perspective, especially because like a ton of them are zeroed out. And then like randomly you like have some that like have some, Bitcoin in it. And then you have to kind of go and do the arithmetic on your own. So definitely like a little bit of convoluted here, but at least they have something that folks, if they wanted to, can go in and kind of see, the on-chain validation for what's being held with what custodian. So that's Wrapped Bitcoin. I believe BitGo was the exchange or the company that kind of launched this one. And then here we actually, for Threshold, we have a Dune dashboard, which we all love, pulling, I'm assuming, directly from on-chain. And so you can kind of see, throughout time, the number of holders, as well as like the supply over time, how much is circulating, as well as like, the total supply in dollar terms. and market share statistics and stuff like this. So this is obviously, you know, a little bit more helpful from a visual perspective. And so really, you know, that pool is TBTC and cbBTC. So it's good to see that, you know, Threshold is kind of taking this a little bit more seriously. And yeah, I'm excited to kind of compare it to what Coinbase's version of this is going to look like whenever they end up putting it out. Yeah, what do you guys think after looking at both of these?
Yeah, I think Threshold is doing this right. Like, I hope with the cbBTC, it's on-chain data that's driving, you know, this type of accountability. Because with the BitGo site or the Wrapped BTC site, you know, it's kind of like hey, trust me, you know, these are the addresses that are needed, or, you know, look, I haven't done the due diligence on that. Maybe there is quite the you know, query that you can put together to draw all those addresses that you need. But here with Threshold, you know, this could be an independent third party creating the same dashboard, you know, and it allows for kind of like decentralized checking to happen through the crypto community, and having other people that are making Doom dashboards be able to verify, you know, what Coinbase is doing. So, I mean, just looking between the two and comparing and contrasting, Threshold is doing this the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I'm excited to see kind of like what Coinbase does with it, and then you know, kind of compare and see. Yeah, if you actually think about it, like a ton of the backlash that all these ETF providers have gotten is actually the lack of transparent proof of reserves, even for the ETF. So hopefully, Coinbase, you know, making this move moves that in the right direction. I think we all think the power of blockchain technology is this ability to be super transparent. Like, imagine if every bank and every custodian and every card provider, like basically all of financial infrastructure had this level of transparency. It would actually end up, you know, saving people a lot in the long run when it comes to all these like blowups and stuff that have happened throughout history. So that's pretty much it for this week. If you guys are using cbBTC, if you guys are interested in Bitcoin yield strategies, anything along those lines, definitely you know, like, comment, and subscribe below, because we're gonna be you know, continuing to monitor this and give you guys updates. Would also love to, you know, if you guys are a cbBTC user or a TBTC user, or you know, planning on farming this on Aerodrome, definitely let us know that as well. We'd love to hear kind of what you guys think as well. So yeah, that's it for this week. We will see you next time here on Wagmi TV.